Another Republican has suggested that he will break a pledge not to raise taxes. Senator Bob Corker of Tennessee says his only obligation is to his oath of office. Lawmakers are laying out markers for upcoming negotiations to avoid the so-called fiscal cliff of tax hikes and spending cuts set to take place in January. Democrats say they want to raise taxes on households earning more than $250,000. Republicans say they'll consider tax increases, but only if entitlement and tax reform are on the table. Joining us now with more is Kereakos Zuras. He is a former advisor to President George W. Bush and an expert in turning around failing businesses. Now, Kereakos, some Republicans are talking about working with Democrats by raising taxes in exchange for entitlement and tax reform. Do you think they'll get a deal?
No, I don't, unfortunately. President Obama and the Democrats have made it very clear that entitlements are off the table, and they're not willing to budge on their proposal to increase taxes on what they call the wealthy, making over $250,000 per year. So I really don't think they're going to come to any kind of agreement with that because they're so far apart on the issues.
So even if we avoid the so-called fiscal cliff, you see even a bigger problem with our ongoing budget crisis. Tell us what that's all about.
Well, that's right. Well, what will end up happening is they'll probably raise the debt ceiling another $2 or $3 trillion because they're not going to come to an agreement. But here's the problem. If we eliminated the entire federal government and the military, we would still have a deficit that wouldn't be able to cover the money we need to pay for the entitlement spending that we have. Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security, unemployment, government pensions, etc. And if you just go onto the CBO report, the 2013 presidential budget, you can very clearly see this, but no one's talking about it. So that's why we continue to punt the ball around and just kind of put it off over here, put it off over there. So I'm not seeing a real big solution here. Entitlements need to be addressed. We need to cut $5 trillion out of our budget, and unfortunately, it's going to have to come from those entitlement programs.
Wow. Well, is there a solution that gets us out of debt and avoids social unrest like in Greece?
Yes, both sides have to come together and put politics aside and come together and talk to the American people and let them know, look, we're a government, we're a business, we have to run a certain way, we don't have enough money to do this, and unfortunately we're going to have to make cuts in entitlements. Otherwise, we're going to go broke. And by the way, we are broke. Our debt is 16 trillion, and it's now surpassed our GDP. So until that happens, we're going to be continuing to have a debt crisis, which we're in a debt crisis now. And I really don't see either side wanting to do that because that's a very hard issue to go to the people with.
How long do we have before the crisis actually hits?
Well, if they don't do something serious, and by the end of the month, by the end of December, first of the year, we're going to have huge tax increases. People are going to be laid off. The government is going to defense spending will be slashed. More people will be laid off. You're going to see immediate results. You're going to see people in the streets. It's not pleasant when money is taken away from people, especially when they don't understand the depth and what it costs to bring these entitlements to them. So I think educating the public and letting them know where we stand on this and that we're all going to have to tighten our belts, including government, quit spending. American people are taxed enough. Raising taxes isn't the answer. We already pay a lot of taxes, and that's not working. We need to have government spending in control, and then we need to go back and trim down some of these programs. Otherwise, we are going to be looking like Greece pretty soon.
Well, we're talking about touching mortgage. We're actually going to go ahead and move on. But Kereakos Zuras, thank you so much for joining us. As always, very insightful. Thank you.
Thank you. It's my pleasure.